also conducting general population registration. Is it also to help with the voter registration? Is that part of the process?
There are two processes. One is civilian registration. Everybody who is, 20, who is 16 and above should register in the national civil registration. But also those who are eligible to voting should also register within the voter registration process. And I think maybe up to 50-60% of the people have already registered from this civil registration process, in the civil registration process, and we just started the voter registration. So hopefully, both of them will continue. But while the voter registration is will continue for a certain period, the civil registration will be going on, will be an ongoing process, because people come always from younger age to 16, so every time you come 16, you must register. Yeah.
Okay. With regard to security, I think the most pressing security challenge for Somaliland will be probably the groups like Al-Shabaab from Somalia, or piracy from the sea areas, and also some extremist elements with regard to religion. I'm wondering how the Somaliland government is handling all these security issues at this moment, and what are they planning to do for the future with regard to the security issue.
Well, as you said, it's not only Somaliland, the whole region.
The whole region
is facing security challenges from different corners, particularly from people of extreme thoughts and inclinations. And Somaliland takes very seriously these security challenges, and that's why we spend almost half of our budget on security matters. The army, the police, the custodian, the judicial system. And we have been successful so far in ensuring that our citizens and our people, live in peace and security, in the whole country. The last time we had an incident was back in 2008. So for the past 7 years, we have had continuous peace and security in the country. But our great efforts to ensure that security does not benefit only Somaliland, but also benefits the whole region. It benefits Ethiopia, it benefits Djibouti, and beyond.
Now, what are the security relationships with Ethiopia? How is the Ethiopian government working with you with regard to security issues?
Yes, well, Ethiopia is a friend of Somaliland, and we work together in many areas. And one of them is in the area, of course, of security, which is of significant importance to both of us. So we collaborate, share information, and that's an area in which we have common interest.
If I may ask, what do you think is going to be the biggest security challenge for Somaliland in the next 5 or 10 years? How do you project? Where is this challenge going to come from?
Well, the main threat that's posed to Somaliland or Somaliland faces, I think, is the same threat which every country in this region faces, and that's from people of extreme views. And that's really the main threat. Of course, we have other challenges which we share with the region. Climate challenge, economic challenge, human trafficking challenge as well. So there are many challenges, but I think the most prominent among all the challenges to security in the region is extremism.
Let's move on to economic matters. And I also understand that for quite some time, Somaliland has been getting a lot of its budget from income from the report, around 70 to 70%, I guess, by my research last time. But in recent times, there is an increasing diversification, especially towards the livestock export sector, as I understand. And how far is this transformation you're taking is going? And is the diversification process actually helping Somaliland move away its budgetary burden from the Berbera part?
Yes, well, as you correctly said, like all governments, the revenue of the government comes from taxation of the people. In Somaliland, most of the government revenues are generated at entry points and border points in the form of customs duties on imports and exports. And Berber, of course, is the main port of the country, and that's where most of the revenues are generated. But I think we need to, and this has been agreed as a priority, we need to diversify our sources of revenue, because relying on one source is very risky in general. And as a result, we're trying to increase the contribution of the inland revenue taxation into the coffers of the government. So that's where we're heading, moving away from reliance on customs and excise to income and corporation taxation or the inland revenue. And we're now undertaking a reform in the public finances. And one of the main components in the process is to establish a separate inland revenue agency, which will be responsible for raising taxation, for collecting taxes from the public in the form of income tax, VAT, corporation tax, in that area. But definitely we have that strategy of diversifying from customs and excise towards inland revenue.
Have you actually started implementing some of these taxes, like income tax and VAT tax?
Yes, the process already in there. It's just it's a matter of the magnitude, and we have already, as I said, undertaken a reform process within the financial system, with the public financial system, and they're now putting in place the IT system, which is required for such a system. So hopefully, shortly, we will have a separate inland revenue entity which will be responsible for the collection of taxes.
What would you say are the challenges in this?
Well, the main challenge is the fact that our economy is informal economy. This is something we share with Ethiopia as well. Yeah. Not every business registers everything they do, and not every business accounts for income and expenditure. So as the economy is informal, of course, collecting taxes from an informal economy has a challenge, because in most of the businesses, as I said, accounts are not recorded, so you will have to make estimates. So that's going to be really a big challenge. So we will have, besides carrying out the public financial reform within the government, I think we also need to educate business people, particularly, to make sure that they have their accounts in order. So there is a lot of public education to do at the same time.
I also understand another challenge for Somaliland is the foreign currency domination of Somaliland shillings. And I'm sure it has something to do with the strength of the National Bank of Somaliland as well. And I want to know currently what is the status of the National Bank of Somaliland. And as my research indicated, in some areas it says it's almost non-existent, not strong, not able to actually steer a strong currency in that sense of the word. And what are you planning to do to bolster this institution and salvage your currency, of course?
Yes. Well, we have a central bank which is responsible for monetary policies and for the stabilization of the currency. Of course, it has its limitations in terms of resources available to do that. Because when the currency is weak, then the bank needs to buy the local currency, which means that they must have US dollars to bring into the market to do so. And sometimes that they are constrained by the amount of dollars which is in their possession. But the problem is not only with the central bank. Of course, the central bank needs capacity building in terms of human resource and in terms of systems at the same time to be able to function properly as a central bank, but at the same time, for a central bank to function properly, you need banks. And that's an area where we have deficit. We don't have international banks in the country yet, but we do have a couple of local domestic banks. Even though their reach is limited because they have only branches within the capital, they don't have still branches. I think they do have a branch in Borough as well. But the banking facilities are not widespread enough for people to access. The main problem we are having with the currency is the dollarization of the economy, which is not entirely the fault of the central bank. In the sense that all transactions, even at the restaurant level, are carried out in US dollars, right? So instead of the Somaliland currency being the national currency of transactions, now we have two currencies working in parallel, the dollar and the Somaliland shilling. And we believe that as a result, the Somaliland shilling has become weakened because the demand for the dollar has grown, but the demand for the Somaliland shilling has declined. And that's why the government has set up a committee to address this issue and look into it. And we're now taking the necessary measures to ensure that we restore the Somaliland shilling system. We need to use US dollars just as a foreign currency, not as a transaction currency. Like you do here. Here you have the bill as the national transaction currency. US dollar is a foreign currency. And we want to have the same situation, In Kenya it's the same thing.
I've also seen in your president's address that the next course of action is going to be enforcing the Somaliland shilling to be the legal tender and the legal transaction currency in Somaliland.
Yes.
But I'm also interested to know what kind of measures would you be taking to actually ensure such a situation in Somaliland?
Yes.
What would be the measures? That's my question.
Yes. Well, I think, there are several measures we need to take to restore the value of but by the way, the value of the Somali shilling, in fact, has appreciated recently. I think just a month ago it was like 80,000 Somali shillings to the dollar.
600 now.
I think it's now about 6,000.
6,000, yes.
Yeah, 6,000 to the dollar.
Yeah.
Which means really regaining its value again as a result of the measures taken by the government. But apart from enforcing the law which requires the businesses to accept only Somaliland shilling as a legal tender, right? I think we need also, in the long term, to improve our trade balance sheet in the future, because at the present time there's a big difference between our imports and exports. The gap is mainly financed from remittance from the Somaliland diaspora outside the country. But I think we need really to do something about rebalancing our trade. We need to grow more our food so that we will rely less on food imports. We need also to improve the trade relationship between Ethiopia and Somaliland as well, because there's a big gap. I think there's a lot. We have a lot of potential to improve that trade, which is now imbalanced. So that's also an area we need also to address. We need to increase our exports, right? And produce the things that we import at the present time locally at the same time, so that there will be less need for the US dollar, and we can raise the demand for the Somaliland shilling.
Talking about exports, I understand one potential is livestock exports for Somaliland. Is there other commodities which Somaliland potentially exploits to really take it into the international market and boost export revenue?
At the present time, the three main exports from Somaliland are livestock, and hyacinth skins, and frankincense. And when it comes to livestock, we export livestock on the hoof. And there's the possibility of adding value by exporting meat instead of just exporting livestock. And in that way, diversifying our export market. We could be exporting meat to the Asian market, to the European market, instead of just relying, on the Middle East. So that there's a potential. Even in hires and skins, now we're exporting them raw. I think the possibility of adding value in the form of by processing and turning the hires and skins into leather, and even going beyond that, and instead of just exporting hires and skins, exporting leather-based products, like shoes, but just like you do here in Ethiopia, belts, bags and things of that sort. And that we also diversify our market, because if we have finished products, we can be selling that to the rest of the world, to a wider market. In the same way as frankincense, but also we have the potential to export fish, only to the Middle East, but also to Ethiopia and to Asia as well, and to Europe. Fish is a commodity in demand all over the world. We have also, potential for export in the mining sector, and I think there's also great potential for tourism in the country as well, as a hard currency earning sector. So we think we have the potential to increase our exports, either diversifying or adding value to what we are exporting at the same time.
I have to take you back to the currency issue, the dollarization of the shilling and stuff. I think another important institutions in this dollarization of the shillings is the money transfer corporations in Somaliland. There are many in number. I've also seen it when I was in Somaliland. It's a lot of shops and small kiosks and doing this money transfer operations in Somaliland. And most of them use this foreign currency. And as a witness, the banking sector is not developed to that level to actually cater to the transaction these institutions do. What are you planning to do? What are your strategies in terms of developing the local banking sector, aside from for foreign banks to come into your country?
Well, one of the people believe that one of the main factors that have contributed to the dollarization of the economy is the use of the mobile banking called Saad, whereby you can, put your money into your mobile and then pay all your expenses from the mobile. And that's mostly done in US dollars. So what the government now is trying to do is to, instead of using US dollars, to use Somaliland shilling in the transaction of the mobile banking. So instead of having, let's say, $10 in your mobile, you can have 100,000 Somaliland shillings in your mobile, and then pay for your expenses in Somaliland shilling instead of US dollars. So that's one thing we're trying to do. As far as the development of the banking system is concerned, we have already passed the central banking law, the central bank law. We have also passed the Islamic Banks Act. The Conventional Banks Act is now in Parliament. So I think we're trying to encourage international banks, particularly Islamic international banks at this stage, to come into the country. And when the Conventional Bank Act is passed, then we would like to see international banks to come to the country as well, so that we'll be able to provide banking services to our citizens everywhere, for their domestic needs, national needs, but also for their international needs as well.
Do you have a regulatory body to oversee these cash transfer operations in these international money transfer companies?
The central bank is responsible for the whole financial sector, and that includes the banks and the remittance companies as well. They're all registered.
With regard to Berbera Port, I understand that one of the recent pushes towards Berbera Port was to make Berbera, aside from a port for import and export of the handling import export of the countries, rather you are pushing for it to become also a recreational center for the region, and you are trying to advertise this Berbera Port as a recreational center. How far along in this, and have you succeeded in somehow attracting visitors to Berbera?
Well, this is still at this early stage. as I said, we have the potential for tourism. I think we have impeccable, beautiful beaches. All right, we would like to see many Ethiopians coming down on the weekends. But that's in the early stage yet. And you need to develop. The sector needs a lot of development in terms of hotels, hospitality, transportation, and things of that sort. So we believe there's a lot of potential, but it's in its early stage yet.
But in terms of port, but I understand that recently, not recently, some years ago, you went shopping for companies. I think the Polari company, a French logistic company, and DP were two contestants to renovate the port of Berbera so that it can give service for bigger markets like Ethiopia and others in the region. How far along in this project, and have you chosen a company to renovate the Berbera port?
Yeah. Well, as you said correctly, this has been a process which has been going on for a number of years now. We have now 4 companies which submitted proposals. That includes Polare and Dubai Well through P&O and another company called MSC and MSC Mediterranean Shipping Company. Right. And we're now in the process of assessing these proposals. We're doing that with the help of the World Bank and also with the help of consultants we have engaged. And hopefully we should be able to come to a conclusion, by the middle of the year on this.
What's going to be the cost of renovating Berbera?
Well, the project of the development of Berbera Port consists of 2 components. One is the rehabilitation and the renovation of the existing facilities, and the second one is about the addition of a new container terminal. As you know, in the past, most of the cargo was in the form of general cargo, bulk cargo, but now all the cargo is becoming more and more containerized. So, and the Port of Berbera, we're going to equip it so that at the present time it's handling about 40 to 50,000 containers a year. So the intention, the plan is to re-equip it so that it can handle more containers, but also to build a purpose-built container quay, so that it can handle containers, maybe hundreds of thousands of containers, not only for Somaliland but also to supply Ethiopia as well.
Are you looking for finances for this? Who's going to be financing this project?
Well, we hope the companies will be able to finance.
Also, they're supposed to come with their money, right?
Yes.
A vendor financing arrangement.
Yes, BTO.
Okay. So, what is the role of the Ethiopian government? What's the role of the Ethiopian government in this project? Is the Ethiopian government working with you? Are they contributing to this?
Not in the development of the port, but in the building of the corridor. Because you need to extend the port, but at the same time to build the road from Berbera to Wachale. So that you would have a road in good condition for big trucks to be able to ferry goods and containers from Berbera to Ethiopia. So that's what we are working on, and this is one of the areas I would like to discuss when I meet with my counterparts here in Ethiopia. The Berbera corridor.
So you have a specific project to build a road from Togudari to Berbera, right?
Yes, and again, this project has been in discussion now for many years with the European Union. The European Union funded a feasibility study of the road that has been done by a German company called GOF, and they figured out that we need about $275 million to build the road. And now we're in the process of finding the money for the road, which will come from different sources. We hope from donors, from the European Union, but also from private money. And we'll see what the Ethiopian government can contribute as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.